Hello, so we are now just over 2 weeks out of our Pavlik harness, and I just thought I'd just come on here and just give you a little bit more of an update as what we're doing, how Max is getting on. As you can see, we've started to put him in this little play seat. I think last time I was on, I told you we were practicing our sitting up. He's actually getting really good at that, and I'll get him to demo it in a minute. I'll just show what I was doing to get him into that position. But we've dug out this seat, which was Freddie's, just to put him in it, and he loves it. He's super active in it. He plays with all the toys, and I actually think it's helping with his core strength. I was a little bit dubious about using these sort of aids, as we'd use things like jumperoo with Freddie and stuff like that, and I'd sort of had some feedback that those sort of toys weren't so good for babies' hips generally, and that may have potentially been why Freddie had so many issues with his walking and his hypermobility, and I was just wary of putting Max in anything that might cause him any problems. But you know, he's going to be sitting in seats eventually, so I thought this would be better than sort of a jumperoo as such, because it's not taking the weight in the same way that a jumperoo does. So we'll use this, and he wants to get out. He doesn't want to just be lying on the mat all the time. He doesn't want to be just sitting in his bouncer, which you guys have seen before, so I thought this was like a happy medium. So we've just been using this. What else have we been doing? So we've actually been trying to take away Max's dummy. So this is a completely separate thing to the Pavlik harness, but we thought now is as good a time as any, and that was a brutal first 24 hours trying to do that. I was always quite against giving Max a dummy, and then we only resorted to giving him one as he was just feeding so often, and he was feeding as a soother essentially, so we thought, okay, we'll just give him the soother. But it got to the point where he was sort of waking in the night, pulling it out, playing with it, and then couldn't get it back in, and then was waking and crying, so he was sort of disrupting himself. So we thought we would just go cold turkey. So we'd done that a couple of days ago, and the first day was a little bit tough, wasn't it? It was. Poor Max was not happy. He'd done a lot of crying. But last night was actually better. He sort of woke up at his sort of normal time in the night and managed to go back to sleep without sort of needing it. It could have just been an absolute fluke. I don't know. So we'll sort of see how we go sort of tonight and tomorrow, and then go from there. I also think his teeth might be hurting. He likes to sort of chew and stuff and suck on things, and he's very dribbly, and I think that might have also been one of the things with the dummy as well, but I think that might have just been masking it. So at least now I'll be able to see exactly what's going on with that. So what I actually wanted to do on this video is, like I said, just show you what I've been doing with Max in terms of his sitting, and how I've been trying to encourage him with things like rolling and stuff like that. He hasn't actually rolled over independently from back to front yet. He did roll from front to back once, but again, that might have just been fluke. But I am sort of using some of the exercises and the facilitation that I learned from the physio with Freddie on Max, just to sort of give him a little bit of a boost, as he hasn't sort of been doing it for very long. And I've also been sort of doing some sensory activities with Max as well, as where he was sort of strapped up for so long, he didn't get all the feelings and stuff and the sensations in his feet, so I've been doing some stuff like that, and I might sort of show that another day, those sort of things I've been doing. So Max does usually play with this, but I've actually just popped the TV on, which he's loving also at the moment as well, just to keep him a little bit entertained while we do this, because unlike in the first videos I'd done, he would sort of comply. He is less compliant now when we're sort of trying to get him to do stuff. So yeah, so this is the seat. This one's just from Mums and Papas, but I think you can get sort of similar ones. I think it's different to the bamboo in the sense that it doesn't hold the legs so tight, which I think is definitely a benefit, because I don't want to be sort of pushing the hips unnecessarily. Oh, he's been a little bit sick. Typical. So in terms of his sitting, what I've been doing is I sort of get him out and I sit him in quite a wide leg stance, and I try and get him to position his weight forward, and I usually sort of put a toy or something in front of him just to sort of help him keep his weight forward. See, no hands, and he's almost there. He's quite distracted at the second. Let's just put something like this in front. This is actually his tummy time pillow, which he loves. He sort of uses that when I put him on his tummy, and that sort of keeps him sort of in a good position. So I've been doing that, lots of that practice as well. So I sort of put something like this in front of him to distract him and just encourage him to sort of keep his arms in front, as I'm sort of led to believe this is the best way to get them to practice sort of sitting positions. As I said, not very compliant today, but that's what we've been doing anyway. And he's getting really good. Like, I can let go for a good few seconds, and it varies sort of how stable he is. So we're just doing this a few times every day. That with the tummy time and everything, it just seems to be helping, and sort of he's making really, really good progress. In terms of the rolling, if I put him sort of here, you might be able to see. Let me just move this chair out of the way. Oh, as you can see, he's off already. So he's got a preference for rolling this direction. And what I learned when we were doing things with Freddie was to sort of just try and encourage them sort of round in a clock face. So all of this stuff that they couldn't do when they were in the harness, sort of moving on to the side, is what I'm trying to encourage now. So I generally put toys at what would be like 11 o'clock, sort of above him, and sort of just encourage him to move over. So I sort of lift his leg up and over, and then just give him a little bit of a roll round. Not very good camera positioning there, but it sort of ends up like that, and he's quite happy laying there for a little bit. Sometimes he likes to lay there more than others, but so when he's in these positions, I see sort of how much improvement that he's made. Obviously we were doing tummy time when he was in the harness, but it was totally different. It was entirely led by me just putting him there rather than him sort of trying to get himself into that position. So sort of that's what we're doing now. We do that on the play mat. I do that on the rug as a different sort of sensory thing. I've got a foil, it's a bit like tin foily thing. It's like a fire blanket. It's like £1.50 from Amazon, which he seems to like. That gives him sort of a reflective, crunchy thing. So we do sort of this sort of thing on all different types of surfaces. And then in terms of getting him to roll back, I sort of just encourage him to tuck his arm under, lift his leg back over, and sort of just then roll him back up. And sort of he'll just do this like a few times. He naturally does want to go over. It's more just like getting the arm out, which is the problem. But the more times we do it, sort of the more times he leads me. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Max is officially 5 months today, which is exciting. Like, you know, it feels like a real milestone again, you know, hitting 5 months. We didn't quite know what to expect. We didn't quite know what he'd be doing at this age, given the length of time he was in the harness. Oh, excuse me, you always burp on camera. But he seems to actually be doing really, really, really well. The other thing I just wanted to show, I've mentioned a few times about us needing to stretch Max out as he's really tight. So his abductor range is still quite restricted. So when he's in the froggy position, he does struggle to get his legs all the way down. So all I do, and this was sort of guided by the physio, is just put very light pressure on his legs, just on his knees, just to try and push his legs as close to the floor as possible. He does loosen up through the day, and obviously he's got trousers on now, so I'm not pushing too much, because that's obviously restricting his movement a little bit. But this is sort of one of the main things that I'm doing, because I don't want him to be really tight, because it's only going to sort of potentially hinder him sort of as he starts to try and be a little bit more mobile. So yeah, that's sort of basically it. That's what we're doing for the time being. My biggest struggle is still the dummy right now, so I will give you a separate update on that another day, as I'm sure that's quite a general issue that sort of parents go through possibly at this time. And we took Freddie's dummy away much later, and that was almost worse, so that's why we sort of thought we'd just bite the bullet and go ahead with Max now. So if anyone's got any other tips with dummy removal and stuff like that, just let me know, or if anyone knows of any other things I can be doing with him to help encourage what he's doing. He loves sort of just playing with his hands, so I'm trying to sort of encourage that. He's got quite good gross motor skill for his age, so I just want to sort of encourage that the best as I can. Feeling a little bit wobbly at the moment, aren't you? But yeah, that's it for now. I will sort of update you with anything else another day. But yeah, catch you later.